Welcome back, Defenders. The top story from the last 2 days has been this. Thousands in Kyiv protest new bill undermining anti-corruption efforts. President Zelensky still signs the bill into law. For the first time in 3.5 years, Ukrainian citizens en masse are protesting their own government. This is the office of the president, and thousands of people have turned out to protest President Zelensky. And these are nationwide protests. Here's friend of the channel, Anastasia, covering the protests in Kharkiv. There were protests in Lviv. Here are the protests in Odessa. Let me share a little bit of this clip with you. So specifically, what are Ukrainians protesting? And this has to do with Ukraine's two independent anti-corruption agencies. This is NABU and SAPO. NABU stands for the National Anti-Corruption Bureau of Ukraine, and SAPO is the Special Anti-Corruption Prosecutor's Office. And the Ukrainian parliament abruptly voted to bring these under the control of President Zelensky. President Zelenskyy's prosecutor general. In effect, Zelensky now has oversight or control over these anti-corruption agencies. For me to begin talking about this issue, I want to first say that I am not Ukrainian. This should be an internal political debate and dispute. And this is okay to have in a democracy. All of these Ukrainian citizens are protesting and having their voices be heard. And nobody is harassing them, nobody is arresting them, nobody is killing them for exercising their rights in a democracy. So Ukraine is still a democracy. I just want to make this point. And the parliament voted for this bill overwhelmingly. 263 in favor, only 13 of Ukraine's members of parliament voted against this bill. So there's something happening here that potentially the general public doesn't understand. I don't get why this bill would be so unpopular nationwide, and yet 263 members of parliament still voted in favor of it. What is Zelensky's justification for basically eliminating the independence parts of the independent anti-corruption agencies? Everything needs to be cleared of Russian influence, Zelensky says amid backlash over anti-corruption law. Kyiv court arrests suspected Russian spy embedded in anti-graft bureau. Have the Russians infiltrated the independent anti-corruption agencies in Ukraine? Potentially, but I don't think that's the reason why this law was passed. I don't think this is why Zelensky basically proposed the bill and then a day later signed it into law. It's obvious that Zelensky and his party tried to do this as quick as possible because they knew it would be unpopular. Here is what Zelensky says in his own words. This is his post on Twitter. The anti-corruption infrastructure will work, only without Russian influence. It needs to be cleared of that, and there should be more justice. Of course, NABU and SAPO will work, and it is important that the prosecutor general is determined to ensure that in Ukraine, the inevitability of punishment for those who go against the law is actually ensured. This is what Ukraine really needs. The cases that have been lying dormant must be investigated. For years, officials have fled Ukraine, who have fled Ukraine, have been casually living abroad for some reason, in very nice countries and without legal consequences. And this is not normal. There is no rational explanation for why criminal proceedings worth billions have been hanging for years. So this could be the actual reason why Zelensky did this. There are Ukrainian politicians who fled the country when Yanukovych was deposed, or maybe they fled the country when Russia launched their full-scale invasion. And Zelensky wants public proceedings. He wants public prosecutions of these Ukrainian businessmen or Ukrainian politicians who stole billions and then fled the country. I think Zelensky and his party are frustrated that it's been years now and there's been no follow-through on the investigations and prosecutions of these Ukrainian figures who fled the country. Sure, okay. Here is President Zelensky meeting with the heads of all these agencies. I gathered all the heads of Ukraine's law enforcement and anti-corruption agencies, along with the prosecutor general. It was a much-needed meeting, a frank and constructive conversation that truly helps. So I'm giving you guys my theories as an outsider, but what I believe is happening here is internal politics within Ukraine. Ukraine is a democracy, it's not a dictatorship. So there are rival factions who want power and influence for themselves. Within the democratic system, every democracy in the world that has elections does this. People will position themselves so that they can have more power and influence in a democratic system for themselves. So what I think happened is President Zelensky was feeling like his party or his inner circle was being targeted, while other parties and other figures were not. He probably does genuinely believe that these independent anti-corruption agencies were not investigating corruption fairly, or maybe had an agenda. He's accusing Russian influence of, going one way or another, but I don't think the public knows, guys. I don't have this information. I'm just speculating here. It's not even appropriate for me to speculate, but corruption is everywhere, in every country in the world. I guarantee you, within the government and the militaries of every G7 nation, EU country, there's a little bit of corruption at least. And this is true in the United States. This article is from November of 2023. Former Air Force contractor pleads guilty to a bribery scheme. This is all the time here in the United States. Former Air Force civilian employee sentenced to more than 15 years in prison for fraud. She stole millions of dollars and basically fake travel vouchers. And for fun, I want to share with you guys my favorite story. This was when I was in the military. Man admits he sold gear from Marine One on eBay. This was an incident in 2017 in which a Marine was stealing equipment from the president's helicopter and selling it on eBay. And he didn't even take the serial numbers off the equipment. Somebody on eBay bought a nice pair of night vision goggles and thought it was suspicious, reported it, and then this Marine was arrested and sent to jail. So no society in the world is perfect, guys. Within Ukraine's government, within Ukraine's military, there is still corruption. We want to minimize it. We want to get it as little as possible. But zero isn't possible. Security service officials took $300,000 in bribes as Ukraine guts corruption oversight. So yes, NABU and the other agency were finding corruption. Was it on the scale of billions or hundreds of millions like it is in Russia? No, it was on the scale of tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands. This is not okay. These people should be found, they should be prosecuted, they should be made public examples. But it's still political. Resources are limited. Who do you focus on? Who do you bring to the public attention? And I'm sure this is what was frustrating President Zelensky. This was an overreaction on social media. Going through my timeline and everybody saying, Zelensky is done, Zelensky is corrupt, Zelensky is now a dictator. And if you believe that, I don't know what you've been doing the last 3.5 years. President Zelensky was a successful and wealthy actor and performer prior for running for president. And if this man was corrupt, he would have taken Russia's money. This guy could have made billions by just cooperating with Putin and selling out his country to the Russians. So do I believe that President Zelensky himself is engaging in corruption and wants to bring in these agencies to steal more from the Ukrainian state? And no, I don't. I don't believe He is engaging in corruption. I believe he wants to fight and defeat corruption, but he's also fighting a war. He's also managing the bilateral relations with dozens of countries that all have their own personal interests and agenda. Everybody wants something from him, and he can't deliver for everybody. He is being pulled in numerous directions, all at the same time, being the head of the state of a nation at war. He is doing the best he can, guys. So where are we now? After mass protests, Zelensky backs draft law to restore the independence of these agencies. This is what Zelensky had to say this morning. I've just approved the text of a draft bill that guarantees real strengthening of Ukraine's law enforcement system, independence of anti-corruption agencies, and reliable protection of the law enforcement system against any Russian influence or interference. The text is well balanced. Most importantly, it includes real tools, excludes any Russian ties, and upholds the independence of NABU and SAPO. The draft bill will be submitted to the Rada today. It is important that we are maintaining unity. It is important that we are preserving independence. It is important that we respect the position of all Ukrainians and are grateful to everyone who stands with Ukraine. We can be honest. I don't think President Zelensky did a good job. Whatever the issue was, he did not explain it well. I still don't understand it. He's sticking to his story about Russian ties and Russian influence over these agencies. Okay, what was it? And how did you solve it with this new bill? I don't know, guys. I don't know. But these independent agencies seem to be okay with it. Anti-graft agencies say they are okay with Zelensky's compromise plan. We'll get more information probably later today. In the meantime, this is bad public relations. We fear this undermines progress. U.S. senators slam Ukraine's anti-corruption rollback. Statements from the European Union as well are not positive about what Zelensky did. And of course, the Russians are going to seize on this. Russia plans to weaponize crisis emerged after Zelensky signs law weakening anti-corruption agencies. And sure enough, the trolls of Mordor are out in force. Here is Marjorie Taylor Greene. Huge protests erupt in Kyiv against President Zelensky as he is a dictator and refuses to make a peace deal and end the war. Good for the Ukrainian people, throw him out of office, and America must stop funding and sending weapons. This is the battle we fight every day, guys, on social media. Misinformation, mass confusion. We don't have the whole story here. I still trust President Zelensky. I still believe in Ukraine. They want to fight corruption. Something was going on, and we just don't have all the information. Back to the war. Russian attacks kill 4, injure 33 over the past day, damaging a UNESCO-protected landmark in Odessa. This is the Privaz market. It's a cultural icon and one of the biggest markets in Europe. And Russia felt the need to blow it up. If Ukraine has anything nice, Russia just wants to destroy it. They don't care about the history, they don't care about the architecture, they don't care about the culture. Russia will kill everyone and destroy everything just to get their empire back. No reason to expect miracles in Ukraine peace talks. This is according to the Kremlin. This is officially the third round of negotiations, direct peace talks between Russia and Ukraine. And nobody is taking them serious. Third round of Ukraine-Russia peace talks concluded in Istanbul. More POW swaps are being planned. Here's the meeting in Istanbul, and it lasted 40 minutes. This is Russia's junior varsity delegation team because they can't make any decisions or do any real negotiating. Here is Ukraine's defense minister Umarov, so Ukraine is still willing to send, a higher level representative when the Russians aren't even taking it serious. Okay, so we're going to have some good news and some bad news. Here's the bad news. Germany seeks U.S. guarantee before sending Patriots to Ukraine. So Germany wants to send a Patriot to Ukraine today, 1 or 2, And then the United States, when one is, off the assembly line, a brand new one will be delivered to Germany. But Germany wants some kind of guarantee because Donald Trump is not a reliable partner. If Germany sends their Patriot system today, over the next 6 months, what if Donald Trump changes his mind? What if he uses the delivery of this Patriot system as leverage in negotiations over tariffs, or Trump and MAGA get upset about free speech violations for the AfD party? So this is a political nightmare, and I didn't consider this, but yes, Germany is concerned if they send a Patriot, Trump will just change his mind and then not deliver one in 6 months. They're working on this. Maybe there is somebody somewhere that can have an adult conversation with my president and tell him, do not use the delivery of this future Patriot system to Germany as a leverage point to extract concessions from the Germans. So this is ongoing. Good news. U.S. approved sale of 2 military aid packages to Ukraine worth $322 million. Ukraine secured approval to buy $172 million in Hawk Phase 3, these are air defense systems, as well as $150 million in Bradley infantry fighting vehicles through 2 separate packages being paid for by the Europeans. But stuff is stuff, guys. The Ukrainians really love Bradley infantry fighting vehicles, and the Hawk is a capable air defense system. So this is the good news, is that there are 747s that have been chartered by the U.S. Air Force delivering something to the Polish border. This was 5 different 747s that took off from Dover and then landed, near the Ukrainian border. Stuff is being delivered, but I don't think we're going to get too many grand announcements because Trump doesn't want to talk about it, and NATO in general doesn't want Russia to know what we're doing anymore. Bad news, Ukraine suffers first Mirage 2000 loss, pilot ejects and survives. This is the statement put out by Ukraine's Air Force. On the evening of July 22nd, while performing a flight mission on a Mirage 2000 fighter jet, an aircraft equipment failure occurred, which the pilot reported to the flight manager. He then acted competently and was able to eject from the plane. This is good. We can always get more jets from France, but a trained pilot takes years to get up to competency, so I'm glad the pilot survived. This is the good news. Let's get to the bad news for Russia. Tinda crash in Russia Far East kills 49. This was a Soviet-era An-24 plane, and it crashed in Russia's Far East, killing everybody on board. There is helicopter video of the crash site. I'll link it down below if you want to see it. Ukraine hits Russian S-300 launcher and a Nibu radar, as well as a Big Bird node in Belgorod. There is a video of Ukraine destroying it. I'll link the video down below if you want to see a Russian air defense system go boom. Lukoil refinery set ablaze as Ukrainian drones hit a Russian oil site near Sochi. This is not the first incident at the company's refineries. Lukoil facilities have become frequent targets of Ukrainian drone and cyber attacks. There is a video of the refinery on fire in the distance. We'll see, in a couple days how bad the damage was. Ukrainian drones reportedly target a logistics hub in southwestern Russia. This was some kind of rail depot or rail infrastructure in Sochi. A bridge was set on fire, and there's a video showing the fire and explosion in the distance. Russian oil and gas revenues projected to plunge by 37% in July, according to Reuters. So these are year-over-year oil revenues. And there's a difference between top line and bottom line on a balance sheet. Revenues going down by 37%. You still have all your operating costs. So there's no profit. When we get the true numbers from these oil and gas companies in Russia, none of them are operating at a profit anymore. There's no extra money for the Kremlin to take to fight this war. This is good news, and over the next 6 months, guys, it's just going to get worse for Russia's industries, all of them, they're all in trouble. They're all losing money. Russia to draft year-round under proposed continuous mobilization. So how Russia does conscription is there's basically 2 conscription seasons, like the spring and the fall. But Russia is now retooling how they bring men into the military, and they're now going to do 365 conscription. Russia also passed a bill tightening men of military age from leaving the country. So if you're a man under the age of, probably under the age of 50, and you want to leave the country, you're going to have to jump through some more hoops to take that vacation to Turkey or try and go to Georgia. Russia's just not going to let their men of military age freely leave the country unless they're wealthy and well-connected. So the chairman of the State Duma has introduced a bill to amend the law on military service. Under the proposal, medical examinations and evaluations for conscription will be conducted continuously rather than biannually. Recent Russian conscripts have been reporting that as soon as they arrive to their units, they're then immediately pressured to sign a contract. So normally, you're a conscript for a year and you're somewhere safe. But Russia is so desperate for meat, when these conscripts show up to their units, their commanders are saying, hey, do you want to sign a contract now? And then we can send you to Ukraine. They don't want to sign contracts. They didn't want to be conscripted. But pressure is being applied to these young men, and they're being sent to Ukraine to die in meat assaults. Let's do an update on the channel Fundraiser. Thank you so much, guys. The theme of this fundraiser is Save the Donkeys. Our goal, once again, is $1 million. And to date, in the last 4 or 5 days, this YouTube community has fundraised $681,000. The goal, once again, is to purchase and deliver about 40 trucks. These are the units who are going to be receiving a truck. I've been sharing with you guys these unit videos, and today's video, this is the 3rd Airborne Assault Battalion of the 82nd Air Assault Brigade. This is their video asking our community for help.
We're the 3rd Air Assault Battalion of the 82nd Assault Brigade. We are part of the offensive forces of the Ukrainian armed forces. We've been to the most major operations in this war. We've been to the Zaporizhzhia region in 2023 during Ukrainian counteroffensive. We've been to Kharkiv region when the Russians invaded there in 2024. Our latest operation was in Kursk region, where we went through the border. But now we are back to Ukrainian soil, to Donetsk region, near Pokrovsk. We'd like to thank the NAFO community and Save 99 for their gracious support in the past. But again, we would like to ask for your support now, because now we need 2 pickup trucks for our wounded and for our logistics. They are a lifeblood for our unit, because without them we cannot function. And unfortunately, we lose them all the time, just because they have to go to the front line to get our wounded. That's just how it is. Thank you. Slava Ukraini! Героям слава!
Our goal is to hit $1 million by the end of the week. That's what we've done with our last 4 channel fundraisers. So if you're financially able to kick in $5 or $10, consider being a part of this. I really appreciate you guys. If you financially can't, don't worry about it. You're still part of this community. When you watch my videos, like, comment, share, subscribe, you're part of this as well. But for fun, let's go to the donor wall. This is the donor box page. I can see and read everyone's comments, and I just want to highlight a couple heroes. This is Steven. Greetings and best wishes from Germany. Here's David. In honor of Donald Trump, if you can't do the right thing, we will. Thank you so much to Lynn. Thank you so much to Sebastian. From my lovely aunt, because her donation got canceled somehow. Anne-Marie Story Poles, with love for Ukraine, from the Poles family. Thank you, Jan. Thank you, Keith. Thank you, Dennis. Thank you, Oystein. Thank you, Anonymous. Thank you, David. Thank you, Gavin. Thank you, Adam. Thank you, Oksana. Thank you, Ian. Thank you, Chris. Final video, there was another POW exchange yesterday. These are additional heroes coming home after years in captivity.
Слава Україні! Слава Україні! Слава Україні!
That's all for this update video. Glory to Ukraine, glory to the heroes. If you found this video informative, give me a thumbs up. Best way to support the channel. Comments and questions, let me know down below. I love hearing from you guys. Till the next video, keep defending the truth, keep defending democracy.